به همه شنوندگان ایرانی عزیز که در لس آنجلس زندگی میکنن سلام عرض میکنم، مخصوصا مرتضای تکیه مرتضای تکیه سلیمان خاقانی، نوکر همه شما هستم. ایران داران شیک آیت الله بلاسی، همه دنیا پهلوانای ایران میشناسه. سالجر لس آنجلس Olympic auditorium. I bring you down and I'm gonna kick you just like I kicked the lazy camel. Woo! Woo!
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you, it is already working up to a fever pitch for the big one. Coming here to Los Angeles in this Olympic year to the Olympic Auditorium on Saturday night, April the 28th. Remember, Tito Santana returned bout with Paul Orndorff for the Intercontinental title. Slaughter to meet the Iron Sheik. Mascaris to go against Chung Lee here at the Olympic Auditorium on April
Please
the
have
28th.
a seat. With your permission, I'm going to take my coat off. Welcome to the White House, everybody. But guess what? I'm not stopping here.
Think about what you think about.
Say it again, and that's a fact.
Think about what you think about.
Folks, look.
Think about what you think about.
I'm serious. Think about it.
Think about what you think about.
Let's be honest. No, you're not going to get your way. This time, not this year, not this time, not now. So I don't want to hear it anymore about big spending Democrats. We spend, but we pay. We spend, but we pay. This year, the American people won. It's wrong. It's not who we are, and we're going to fix that too.
Think about what you think about.
Say it again, and that's a fact.
Think about what you think about.
Folks, look.
Think about what you think about.
I'm serious. Think about it.
Think about what you think about.
Let's be honest. We are the United States of America. There's nothing we've ever set our mind to. Nothing. Too often. We confuse noise with substance, and there's no rhyme or reason to that. Think about how you feel. We're going to come back at it.
I'll circle back.
Nobody can doubt. Nobody can any longer doubt. Not a joke. Think about it.
Think about what you think about.
Say it again, and that's a fact.
Think about what you think about.
Folks, look.
Think about what you think about.
I'm serious. Think about it.
Think about what you think about. Think about what you think about. Think about how you feel.
Good thing my mom's not around.
Folks, think about what you think about.
Let's be honest.
It's wrong.
But guess what? I'm not stopping here.
Think about what you think about. Think about how you feel.
And we're gonna fix that too.
Think about what you think about. How you feel.
Folks, look. Here's the deal.
Think about what you think about.
Say it again, and that's a fact.
Think about what you think about.
Folks, look.
Think about what you think about.
I'm serious. Think about it.
Think about what you think about.
Oh, I like that.
Do you believe in me like I believe in you? Will you stand by me when the world falls through? When I look in your eyes, it's chaos to clarity, suddenly understanding that paradise not passing, and that's when you ask me, do you believe in me?
everybody. Welcome. Here we go. It is that time again. Matt Connarton Unleashed. And we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is Wednesday, June 7, 2023. So nice to have you all with me. So I'm looking out the window, and it looks like it might storm. But there's been this, as I've mentioned on the show recently, too, there's been this trend where it'll look like it'll get really dark outside, and there's some very threatening clouds, and it looks like any moment now the sky might open up, and the rain will start coming down in buckets, but and then nothing happens. So I'm wondering if that's what this is going to be again. It looks like it's going to rain and then nothing happens. This happened several times now, but we could probably use some rain to kind of, would that help clean up the air? Maybe there's large swaths of the country, including where we are, that, we've got these air quality alerts because of the wildfires in Canada. So you should, especially if you're someone like me, for example, who has asthma or anything else like that, you should probably wear a mask. Except now it's the inverse of when we were in the midst of the pandemic. Now you'd want to wear a mask outside instead of inside, rather than inside instead of outside, because if you're outside breathing that air, well, maybe it is raining. Actually, the streets look a little wet. Can't tell. But the rain might actually help with that, I would think, right? It helps with the pollen. Maybe it'll help with the terrible pollution. My goodness. Yeah. Canada's on fire, so that's what's going on. You know what it reminds me of? Many years ago, this would have been over a decade ago, because I remember at the time that this happened, I was still living in Concord, and I was living in an apartment complex in Concord, and it was Memorial Day weekend, actually, and it was that Monday. I think it was that Monday. It was on Memorial Day. I woke up that morning. And I had fallen asleep with the window open because it was a very warm night. So when I woke up in the morning, I could smell it. I woke up and I could smell something, but I thought, the first thought that went through my mind was, oh, somebody's really getting an early start on the barbecue, because it was Memorial Day weekend. So a lot of people, because sometimes around the apartment complex, especially, of course, on the big holidays, you see somebody out there with a grill, grilling. What else would you do with a grill, I suppose? And so I would see that often. So that was my first thought. I thought, wow, somebody's really, because it was in the morning, somebody's really getting an early start, like 8 a.m., and, and then I got up and I got ready for the day, and I went outside and I looked around. I could still smell what I noticed when I first woke up. And it has to be very strong for me to be able to smell it, because with my allergies, there's a lot that gets past me in terms of aroma. I'm stuffed up a lot, but I could smell it. It was pretty strong. I got outside and I could smell it even more strongly, but I'm looking around and I'm like, I don't see anybody grilling. What am I smelling? Is something on fire somewhere? And I looked at the sky, and in the distance, it kind of looked like I could see, it almost kind of looked like fog, but not quite. But I could see it. I thought, is that smoke hanging in the air? And then I thought, something's got to be on fire somewhere nearby. What's going on? I didn't hear any fire trucks or anything, but something's burning somewhere. And then I got into the car and I turned the news on and learned that, Canada is on fire because they were having terrible forest fires, much like what's happening now, except I guess now it's worse than ever, because apparently this is unprecedented, the degree to which we're experiencing this. From what I understand, New York City has not had such poor air quality since the 1960s. And usually, is it Delhi, India, I think, that typically has the worst air quality of any city in the world? They're actually ranked for the worst air quality. I know there's cities in China, too, that experience that. You'll often see, again, before COVID or anything, you would often see people walking around with face masks outside in these cities because the air quality is so consistently bad. So, but apparently today, New York City has the dubious distinction of having the worst air quality in the world. I don't know if it's still that way at this hour, but it was earlier in the day. And that's unusual. And it's not their fault. They're getting the Jenny had looked up online. It shows how the winds, push the bad air. And so, for example, just because of how the winds happen to be blowing in Massachusetts, they actually have worse air quality right now than we do in New Hampshire, even though we're kind of a buffer between Massachusetts and Canada. The way the air is circulating through the jet stream, perhaps. I'm not a meteorologist. My knowledge of this is limited, but so I don't know all the vocabulary. I don't know the right terms for these things, but whatever it is that causes the air to move, we'll put it that way, is actually sending it sort of around New Hampshire and into Massachusetts. Not entirely, of course. It's not missing us by any stretch. The air quality in New Hampshire is also rated very poorly. But they've got it even worse in Massachusetts, and in New York, it's just terrible. So everybody, be mindful of that. I can tell you, there was a moment earlier in the day, I was outside and I thought I could actually, it hasn't affected my breathing at all today. I do have asthma and I do carry a rescue inhaler, but I haven't had to use it. So my breathing's been fine. But there was a moment today where I actually thought I could kind of taste it a little bit, as gross as that sounds. Maybe some of you have experienced that too, but I thought I could actually taste it, the air, the bad air. So, so everyone just be mindful of that. Be safe. Don't be outside if you don't have to be. Don't be breathing this in. Something that I didn't know is that if you breathe in these particulates, is that what they're called? The tiny particles, particulates or particulates? I think it's particulates. Again, I'm learning too. If you breathe that in, they're so small that you don't know that you're breathing them in, but they can get into your lungs, of course, and affect you. But worse, if that gets into your blood, and it can get into your bloodstream, and that can cause some pretty severe problems. So again, if you have any kind of breathing problem, whether it's asthma or whatever it may be, COPD or anything like that, be mindful. Any sort of cardiovascular issues, anything like that, just try not to breathe outside. I mean, if you have to go outside, yes, you have to breathe. You actually, interestingly enough, you have to breathe everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, every moment of your life does require breath. You must breathe. But try not to go outside and breathe in the bad air. It's not good for you. And you can look online too. There's resources online for where you can actually see. I think nationally right now, it's the air quality is rated very poor, very poor. So there you go. And if you're inside, try to keep your windows closed. Just try to avoid it all. You don't need it. Oh, and by the way, our friend Kyle Heavey from Off the Mark Sports, I was chatting with him earlier, and he reminded me, I had seen this on the news, but he reminded me too. Today happens to be, is it National Running Day or World Running Day? I think it's National Running Day. So today's a day to encourage people to get out and run. Don't do that. Please do not go running today. I don't care if today is your normal day. Every Wednesday you go for a big 5K run or something, or maybe you've made a decision recently to start running because you think it will be good for you, and today was going to be the day you were going to get out and run. Don't. Listen. Maybe you're someone who you've been thinking about taking up running, but you keep coming up with excuses, and then you don't do it. And then you were like, today's the day, no more excuses. No, listen, you actually have a valid excuse this time. Please don't do that. Do not go out and run. This is the worst possible time to do that. Please don't do that today. All right, there you go. So that's your public service announcement for today. The more you know. By the way, a couple of programming notes. Well, let me give the numbers first for the studio and everything, if you'd like to call us, and then we'll get to our programming notes. We do have an exciting show for you today and an exciting show tomorrow as well. But the studio line is open, 603-250-6007 if you would like to call in, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. I'm on social media at Matt Connarton. You can email me, Matt at mattconnerton.com. You can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. We will say hello to everybody in there in a moment. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. Coming up on the show today, we've got some other news items to tackle in the first hour, but coming up at the top of the hour, our friend Holly Brewer is going to be calling in, a very talented musician. We have featured her music on the show before, and she's been a guest with us in studio. But she has a brand new single called Clothesline. And so today is the world radio premiere. You know, we love the world radio premieres with music. So the world radio premiere of her new single Clothesline will be today, and she will be calling us at the top of the hour. And what we're actually going to do is play one of her other songs that I really like, that I have played on the show before, a very positive and affirming song called Don't Unalive You. It's an unusual song, but it's meaningful. Don't unalive you. So we're going to actually play that close to the top of the hour, and then we'll get Holly Brewer on the phone with us, and we'll chat for a bit. She can tell us all about the new single, and then at the end of the segment, we will do the world premiere of Clothesline, the brand new song from Holly Brewer, which is great. She's very interesting. Her personal story is fascinating. If you would like to. Feel free to go back and, you can do a search. Actually, the easiest way, probably just go on Google, and type in Matt Connarton, Holly Brewer, and you can find my interview with her from when she was on the show a few years ago. She's got a fascinating backstory. Really, really interesting. But her music is great too, so that's going to be on the docket today. Also, at the top of the show, we played a great track from Dank Sinatra, my personal favorite Dank Sinatra track, Air Between Us. They're going to be here with us in studio tomorrow for a world radio premiere. They've got some new music, and it sounds like we're going to play a few of their songs, several of their brand new songs from their brand new album tomorrow. Can't wait. I know our friend Alfredo Enrique Benavides will be here. And I'm not sure who else he's bringing, if he's bringing Axel. I can never remember how to say his last name. Is it Bagley? I think it's Bagley. Axel's last name is how you say it. The way it's spelled, it's got too many vowels, not enough consonants. It looks like you could say it a few different ways, but I think it's Bagley. But so we'll see if Axel is with him too. I'm not sure who is showing up from the band exactly, but we really look forward to that. So that will be tomorrow on the program. But that's why I played my favorite Dank Sinatra song to open today's show, but we'll get to hear some brand new stuff tomorrow on the program. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Something else I played at the top of the show, too, that you might have wondered about. I played a wrestling promo from the Iron Sheik. Why would I do that? Well, rest in peace, Iron Sheik. He passed away today. It was announced, I believe, at the age of 81. I have not seen a cause of death, but the Iron Sheik, he was... when I first started watching wrestling when I was a kid, he was a pretty big deal. Actually, when I first started watching, he had already been a big deal for a long time. I think when I first started watching, he was in a tag team with Nikolai Volkov. Now, Nikolai Volkov was not really, if you ever heard him speak in his normal voice, he was not really a Russian, this evil Russian guy. But the Iron Sheik was legit. The Iron Sheik was not playing an Iranian. He really was Iranian. He had wrestled for Iran in the Olympics on the wrestling team. Legit. He had worked for, I can't remember now the name of the, they protect the Ayatollahs in Iran, the protection force. They're kind of like their version of the Secret Service. He had been one of those guys, a really legit guy. In recent years, he had become a little bit of a social media phenomenon, which I think actually started with his appearances on the Howard Stern show. He would go on the Howard Stern show and be totally in character and I can't play any of that on this program. I could play the wrestling promo, but I can't play any of the Howard Stern interviews because those would get, he would, it was on Sirius XM satellite radio, so he could be completely uncensored, and he took well advantage of that. So I can't play any of that stuff, certainly, but it's fun to open with one of his wrestling promos. Great promo, very intense guy. And that's who Hulk Hogan beat for the title at Madison Square Garden, the Iron Sheik, because the Iron Sheik had beaten Bob Backlund and then only held the title, I think, for a month. And then Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik, and then Hulkamania was running wild. But the Iron Sheik continued to be quite relevant. So rest in peace to the Iron Sheik, a very, very entertaining guy. Let's see. Oh, one other programming note I should mention, because some of you are probably wondering, it is Wednesday, and usually on Wednesday during the first hour, we do our weekly segment with our friend Eric Pilcher from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And no Eric today. Eric is still very upset, and he's still posting that hashtag, get Eric a shirt, and he's sitting out the show out of protest. No, I'm kidding. No, actually, he just had an appointment, so he can't be here today. So I think that whole bit's kind of. I was going to try to keep the bit going a little bit longer by saying, yeah, he's sitting out of protest, but I don't know. All the smog outside, it makes me not want to keep the bit going. I guess that's a weird way for it to affect me. But no, Eric. But here is the cruel irony, though. There is a cruel irony to Eric not being available to join us today, and you know what it is? 2 big stories just happened that I actually was really looking forward to getting his opinion on and talking to him about. One of them being Chris Licht out as the head of CNN. He is no longer running CNN, and of course, the segment that I do with Eric on Wednesdays focuses largely on news about the news about media, both big media and independent media, internet media, etc. But so we talk a lot about cable news and the various goings on, and but we'll have to hold off on that. And the other big story too, not so much media, more of a sports story, but it's something that Eric and I have talked about a lot, is the merger between the PGA and Live Golf. And again, I'm not a sports guy, but we've talked about that before on the show, because now it's like golf is being. We might get into that today a little bit anyway. But golf seems to be being taken over by Saudi Arabia's PIF, the Public Investment Fund in Saudi Arabia. We might get to that anyway. It's not like I'm going to sit on these stories until next week to save them for Eric, because if I do that, in the meantime, a million other things will happen that we can talk about next week with Eric. So, but no Eric today. So it's just me for the first hour. And then, like I said, our friend Holly Brewer will be calling in the second hour. But you can call in the meantime, and then we'll say hello to everybody in the Facebook live chat. But 603-250-6007 is the studio line, 603-250-6007. Let's see. We will say hello to everybody in the chat quickly here. Oh, Greg Joseph is in the chat room. Greg, not only is Greg one of the great sponsors here at WMNH with Clemento's Pizzeria, but Greg also now is making regular appearances on the morning show with Peter White. So very good. And he's good on the radio too. Greg has a really good sense of humor, so I like hearing him on there. But Mike Doyle is on the line. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Greg. Hey, Greg. Hey, Matt. How you doing?
Well, you can say hi to Greg, too. He's in the chat room.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Greg. He is a character, huh? He is quite a character.
Yeah, he's very good on the air. I like hearing him on the morning show. He's very good. Yeah.
He's got that natural ability about him just to speak to people.
Yeah.
And, make you feel welcome,
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, I wanted to call you yesterday to keep in the subject of the matter of the day, but and you were talking to Dave Ridley, and I was a little bit taken aback by what you said about Tulsi Gabbard, and I know how much of a fan you were at one time for her, and what caught my ear yesterday was how you said she went so far to the other side, and I was thinking about it, and I was saying, well, she really didn't go that far. She was a centrist Democrat, and she jumped over the independent line and is now kind of like a centrist Republican. And her big, I get to see her quite a bit because she's on Fox all the time now too. And I don't see her on CNN. I flip over, but I never see her on there. And her big thing now is two things: the foreign policy of this country, and with including oil and that whole bit. And then her bigger complaint constantly is how she fought for the independence of this country, and she can't stand what's going on with the Department of Justice and FBI and the corruption going on there of not turning over documents and things like that have been going on for the last 5-6 years. And so those are her two big arguments. But the main point was, I don't think she went that far. I just think she went from she couldn't stand what the Democrats were doing, so she just jumped over to a centrist Republican. And I was wondering your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so you probably don't watch or listen to any of the podcasts that she goes on or anything like that, do you?
I don't.
Yeah, she's very, I mean, I'm suspicious of someone who was a centrist Democrat who now seems to, because she does get into other issues on those podcasts. For example, she seems to be very pro-Russia, very anti-Ukraine, and that I find troubling. I find that troubling with anybody, Republican or Democrat. So I think she's kind of, and that alone puts her in sort of the same lane as some of these other people who, because there's some other, like there's this guy, I'll give you an example. And again, he's strictly online, although I did see him on Tucker Carlson once. There's this guy, Jackson Hinkle, who used to be like a big socialist. And then all of a sudden, Russia invades Ukraine and he starts doing all this pro-Russia stuff. And next thing I know, I'm seeing him on Tucker Carlson, and then he's going on all these podcasts and he's completely a different guy. He completely switched his opinions on everything. And with some of these people, if you dig in, and by the way, I don't have it at the ready, but I've read some of it. Sometimes when you look at these people, Mike, who seem to have changed a lot, and in my view, she's changed quite a bit. Sometimes if you dig into where they're getting funding from, say they have like a guy like Jackson Hinkle, you can find out who's actually paying him and who's funding him and why he seems to have had this change of heart on so many things. And then you find out, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. So listen, I don't know what's in Tulsi Gabbard's mind and what's in her heart, but I have some suspicions. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's all sincere. I don't know. I really doubt it, but that's just my opinion. I can't read her mind, so I don't know.
I don't listen to her on the podcast. So
yeah,
did you say anti-American or pro-Russia, anti-American?
No,
I missed that.
Nope, I said pro-Russia, anti-Ukraine.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I didn't. It bleeped out and I couldn't hear. But no, she just, I don't know. She talks the same as she talked when she was a Democrat, kind of normal. As far as just to me, I hear just common sense stuff. She seems very grounded, very anti-war, pro-America, a lot of stuff like that. And I just think every time I hear her now, she cannot stop talking about the FBI and the DOJ, and that is a little bit of an issue. I know some people don't want to talk about it, don't want to, but there's oversight committees to the DOJ and the FBI, and they're saying, hey, we want to see these documents, and they say no. I mean, there's a problem there. That's like your boss telling you no more music on your shows, and the first day you go in, you play music. I mean, it just shouldn't happen. You know what I mean? You'd probably get knocked off the station if that happened. But for them not turning over documents in a secure location that these congressmen can see, and then redacting a lot of these documents, don't we all want to know the truth? Don't we want to just know if there was corruption or something? We want to know. We don't want that continuing. And so, anyways, that's all. But that I just thought that you had thought she'd gone so far. The way I think you used the word "so far," and I'm like, I don't know if it's that far. You know what I mean on the scale? She was never hardcore left, and she's not I don't think she's hardcore right, but she has definitely jumped the ladder from left to right for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm pretty
just a thought.
pretty suspicious of her, but who knows? Only
Yeah. That's one to be, and you're absolutely right about the money thing. I mean,
yeah,
follow the money pretty much anywhere. Greed takes over pretty much all, trumps all. You know.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
And so when exactly. So all right, well, good show. I didn't want to direct what path you were heading down, but I wanted to call you yesterday and talk to you about it. Hey, and by the way, just a note of positive from a outsider. I'm not a big music guy, but I listen to some of these records you play and some of these new people you have on.
Yeah.
And I find some of the music fascinating. I find the different thoughts behind it, the different genres, the different. There was one you played that was it was huge instrumental with little vocals, and I found it fast. I go, what a great song that is! Just the talent that goes into. So yeah, so some of these musicians who people may not know or may not like their kind of music, if you take the time to just listen to it out. If you don't like it, you say, that's not me. But you've had some on that are really, really tripped my sensory for good talent and good music. So just wanted to throw that as a positive note.
Oh, that's good to hear. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, Jenny's been doing all the booking, and she's finding a lot of. There's so much great talent out there, and
oh, sure.
Yeah, and we've really tried to.
Kudos to her. Then she's doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Mike. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on that, so I appreciate it.
All right. Yep. Talk to you later.
All right, Mike. Thanks. Bye-bye. All right, that was our friend Mike Doyle. And that does open up a line for you, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. I wonder if the song he was referring to, I occasionally play a song called Song 4 from the band Dust Prophet, and that's the only because I'm not big on instrumentals, but I love that song, and that always gets a big response from the audience too, because whenever I play that song, people in the chat room say they love it. And you know what's really funny about that? I'll share something a little behind the scenes with you. By the way, Mike, if you're still listening, Jenny in the chat room says thank you for your comment there. Yeah, she does a great job with the booking, and that's something too we've kind of tried to sort of change about the show a little bit in 2023 is, because we used to do musical guests maybe 2 or 3 times a month, now it's more like 2 or 3 times a week. And it's the feedback that we've gotten just across the board on that has been phenomenal. And it's good for me too. It's good for my mental health, I think, to, there's something, as much as I love politics, I think it, sometimes I think almost maybe I love it too much, but there's something rejuvenating about talking to musicians. But it's funny. So I was talking yesterday online. Now I'm not going to be able to find it. Oh, yeah. My friend Otto Kinzel from the band Dust Prophet. I opened yesterday's show with one of his songs because Dust Prophet was one of the bands playing at Jewel last night. And with that event with Sepsis and Dead Reckoning, they were here yesterday in studio with us, which was very cool. It was wonderful to meet them. And, but I messaged Otto because Otto was on that show too. And, we played Dust Prophet, and I told him, I said, I'm going to open with song 4 today on the show, because it always gets such a great response. And yeah, I said to him, I'm opening today's show with song 4. That one gets a very positive response from my listeners. And he said to me, this is interesting. He said, oh, sweet. I'm surprised an instrumental gets such a response, because people tend to not like instrumentals as much. But yeah, that one does. But then he asked me, he did say, any chance you could play a song with vocals in it instead, which is why I played, so instead of that, I honored his request. I played Hourglass, which is my favorite Dust Prophet song that does have vocals. But that was his reaction. He was surprised that people like the instrumental so much, but yeah, they do. Whenever I play song 4, even though there's no vocals on it, people really dig it. And that's probably the song that Mike was thinking of, because other than that, I don't usually play instrumentals. I think there might've been somebody else on the show I had recently who had an instrumental that I played, but I can't remember now, but it was probably that. But yes, thank you again, Mike, for the call. 603-250-6007 if you'd like to get in with a call. 603-250-6007. If you're just joining us, by the way, at the top of the hour, speaking of musicians, we're going to have Holly Brewer joining us. But let's say hello to everybody in the Facebook Live chat. Jenny is in the chat and says, shalom, peeps. Also, JFed joins us from the great state of Vermont and says, awesome. I think, JFed was probably the other song that I played at the top of the show. A little bit of a longer intro today just because I had some last minute things I was trying to figure out. I played the Think About What You'd Think About from the Remix Bros. The little Biden parody there. JFed likes that. Isaac Banks joins us, of course, from Greensboro, North Carolina, and says, good afternoon, #Matt. How are you doing? JFed says, I sometimes think about what I'm thinking about. It's like, man, what was I thinking about? I forgot. Isaac Banks says, good news for you, #Matt. Jeff and me are doing a show of JP and LB. Oh, no, IB for Isaac Banks' show at 6:15 to 8 p.m. on our cell phones, his cell phone and my cell phone. So please do voice call me, and you can talk to Jeff on my text now on my cell phone I will put it on the speaker. Well, I think I've invited to be a guest on their show. I'm honored. Greg Joseph from Clemento's, I mentioned, is in the chat. JFed says, I guess I could call in and take over that job for Eric Pilcher. I already have a shirt, actually, too. Oh, lucky. Tom Blanchard joins us in the Facebook Live chat and says, hello, people. Hello, Tom. Charles Richardson from the state of Florida joins us in the chat room. Charles says, hi there, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Charles. Let's see. Isaac Banks says, I'm back, #Matt Connarton, and I was dusting stuff for my grandma, Eloise Keck. Eloise, that would be a grandma's name, wouldn't it? I don't think I've ever met anyone younger than 90 named Eloise. I'm exaggerating, of course. 85. I don't think I've ever met anyone under 85 named Eloise. Let's see. Isaac Banks also said, and we will be doing this show of us is JP and IB show on our cell phones. And also you can voicemail call me to do this show. #Matt Connarton, voicemail to call me. Well, I will, I'll try. I make no commitments. I'm a very, very busy man, but I will, do my best. Sounds like an experience. Miriam Banish joins us in the Facebook Live chat. Hello, Miriam. Tony Petrello says, I think Eric should review Blazing Saddles. Ah, yes, the Mel Brooks classic. Not without some controversy. There's some things in that film, some words that are spoken that you really couldn't get away with today, I suppose. But a great film. Very, very funny. That was peak Mel Brooks, I would say. I would say that was peak Mel Brooks. What would be the opposite of non-peak Mel Brooks would probably be Robin Hood Men in Tights, which is horrific. But all right. Let's 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. We don't have a lot of time left in the segment, so we might just do something quick. I do have something I want to do today, but we'll have to save it for hour number 2, numero dos, after our conversation with Holly Brewer. But just to give you a little preview, we do have a couple of new entrants. Well, actually, we have a few recent new entrants into the Republican nomination race. We have Chris Christie, former governor of New Jersey, has announced. He announced yesterday. Doug, I'm not even familiar with the guy. Doug Burgum from, is it North Dakota? He is in. All I know about him is he's pretty conservative. That's all I know. I think his name, am I even saying his name correctly? Doug Burgum? I don't know anything about the guy, but I guess we're going to have to learn. And today, this afternoon, former Vice President Mike Pence made his announcement. And something that we'll do, and again, we'll have to save it. It's too much to get into now because it's already past quarter of. It's 13 minutes to the top of the hour. as I might say if I were more committed to being a standard radio host. But yeah, we'll have to do that in the second hour, because what I want to do is I actually want to play part of the speech and offer some thoughts. And I know what some of you might be thinking. You might be thinking, Matt, you actually want to play some of Mike Pence's announcement today on the show? You actually want to play it on the show? Are you trying to torture us? Why would you do that? And are you trying to punish us in some way? To which I would say, well, I'm afraid so, because listen, I have some spies out there and doing some reconnaissance, and some of you have been very bad. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. No, I love and appreciate you all. No, the reason I want to do that is just part of it, because it was a surprise to me, a bit of a surprise. It was more interesting than I expected. And we'll talk about, I mean, listen, if you think of it like a play, you know how a play, you've got the first act, the second act, the third act. And really anything is like that. Like movies are like that too. I mean, unlike with a play, with a movie, with a film, it's not clearly delineated, right? Which act is which, but the way it flows and the way it's constructed, it's in 3 acts. And political speeches also, you tend to have an act 1, an act 2, and act 3. And Mike Pence's speech today, act 1 was very predictable, very dry, very dull. And honestly, it sounded like it could have been written by AI. You know, like you could have, if you said to Chat GPT, write me Mike Pence presidential announcement candidacy speech, and that's what it would have. No disrespect to any of our friends in Greensboro, North Carolina, but that's what it would have spit out, right? So we won't be discussing Act 1 at all. Act 2 gets interesting, though. And again, if you didn't hear it, you might be thinking, how could a Mike Pence speech be interesting? Well, it was a little different than what I expected. We'll just say that. We'll leave it at that for now. But we'll get to it. I do want to go over that today, time permitting, but we'll save that for the second hour. The other big story, actually, I think I did mention it earlier. Chris Licht is out at CNN after only, I think, 13 months. I was actually in the car and checking out the news as part of my show prep, and they announced it live on CNN. We have they did the breaking news sound effect, and then whoever it was, I didn't catch who the anchor was in that moment, said, well, we have some news regarding this network. And I was like, oh, they're reporting some news on their own network about their own network. That's awkward. But, and they made the announcement. Mediaite has it, but that's an opinion piece. I don't want an opinion piece. I just want the facts. Just give me the facts. Just give me some truth, like John Lennon sang. I'm going to have to go to a different site for that. That's a song I haven't played in a long time. Just give me some truth. Let's see. So maybe now Don Lemon gets to come back. No, I'm kidding. I don't think that's in the offing. Let's see. Oh, Politico has a tantalizing story. The real reason Chris Licht got fired. Let's look at this, shall we? I'd like to know the real reason. We don't always find out the real reasons for these things. Although this might be speculation. Actually, I suspect that it is. Well, we'll look at this. This is from Politico. This is Jack Schaefer writes, Chris Licht got canned this morning, truncating his chairmanship of CNN to a brief 13 months. The proximate catalyst for his departure was Tim Alberta's days-old 15,000-word profile, yes, in The Atlantic titled Inside the Meltdown at CNN, which excavated Licht's mistakes at the helm and his personal shortcomings as network boss. But it was more than that. To fully explain it, you'll need a team with the skills of National Transportation Safety Board investigators to sort and tell all of the elements that led to his abrupt crash and then complete a 456-page follow-up report 18 months later. If such a report were written, it would explain that Licht wasn't the right guy for the job of CNN's revamping. It would note that even if he wasn't the perfect candidate, nobody could be expected to turn a network like CNN around in 13 months. That he was expected to do the impossible, both remake the network and help its parent corporation, Warner Brothers Discovery, reach its cost-cutting goal of $3.5 billion to cover the $50 billion debt load incurred from the merger of the two companies 1 year ago. We have a call. We'll grab this. Oh, nobody there. Never mind. That the Donald Trump town hall he organized was received as a disaster, that he never won the support of the journalists who manufacture the news at CNN, and that's just for starters. There might not be an airplane hangar big enough to hold all of the broken parts for the investigators to paw over. So it sounds like what, we don't have time to go through the whole thing, but it sounds like what the author of this article is suggesting is that he never had a chance. But there was that piece. I haven't had a chance to really look at it, but there was that piece in The Atlantic that apparently was pretty devastating to this man's reputation. But again, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about today with our friend Eric Pilcher, but Eric is not able to be with us this afternoon. So I'm sure we'll dig into that more the next time that he's on or before then. But yeah, another big shakeup. And apparently there's some sort of... he's being replaced in the interim until a new head of the network is chosen, with this sort of management team that's been cobbled together to kind of run things, a leadership team, I think it's being called, to run things in the absence of someone officially at the helm at CNN. But I do find these things fascinating. I have to, Jenny and I should probably, because everyone says we would love it, that show Succession, which is about a fictional television network and all the drama, the internal drama that goes on off air at it, and the family that runs it and so forth. It does sound like something I would enjoy tremendously, and I think Jenny would too. But I keep forgetting whenever we're looking for something to maybe watch together, somehow it always falls out of my head. And then I remember when I'm on the air, wait a minute, everyone keeps telling me I got to check out Succession. All right, we are approaching the top of the hour, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to show some love to our amazing sponsors, and then we're going to play a Holly Brewer track. We're going to play a song that she released a number of months ago called Don't Unalive You. And then when we come back, she should be on the phone with us. We're going to chat for a bit, get caught up with her, and then we're going to debut the world radio premiere of her brand new single called Clothesline. Really looking forward to that. So there is plenty more to come. So, and by the way, no, the sky still has not opened up despite there being some very threatening looking clouds out there. The trend continues. It looks like it's going to rain, then it doesn't rain. It seems to happen on a regular basis now. Worries me a little bit, but again, I think it would help. I think it would help wash away some of the smog. All right. Anyway. All right. We're going to take a break. There's plenty more to come. Don't go away. Holly Brewer will be with us shortly here on Matt Connarton Unleashed. Come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, free dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry, located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Clemento's Pizzeria. Family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria. For delivery, call 603-782-8450. Clemento's Pizzeria. The best pizza in town. 1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. Best cocktails around. Come in as friends and leave as family.
This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
Dream in Oakland town is waking up to say, blow your troubles into bubbles and send them on their way. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't unalive you. You've got more photographs to send. You're not alone. Don't unalive you. You know more than you knew then. You're not alone. You're don't unalive you. Don't unalive you.
That is Don't Unalive You. That is Holly Brewer, and we've got a brand new song from Holly to share with you in a few minutes, but I believe she is on the phone with us. Holly, is that you? Uh-oh, I don't hear anything. We lose her? Holly? Oh, I think we lost her. All right. Well, hopefully Holly Brewer will call back. Call back, Holly. We had her. Oh, this is probably her. Holly, is that you?
No, I'm sorry, it's Charles.
Oh, hey, Charles. We actually have a guest. We actually have a guest who's going to be calling in. What's going on?
All right. Well, no. Well, I'll go ahead and then hang up. I'll talk to you another time.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Yeah, we're going to keep the line open because we have Holly Brewer is supposed to be calling in, and I think she was on the line before. It looked like she was there, but something went awry. So, Holly, if you're listening, please give us a call. But yeah, she's been on the show before. Really, really interesting backstory, and like I was mentioning earlier, she was with us in studio. This was like several years ago now. I think pre-COVID, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe. It's hard to keep it all straight, though, I'll tell you. But she's got a brand new single that we're going to be debuting today. And let's see. I think this is her. Holly, is that you?
Ahoy.
Ah, we've got her. All right. Holly Brewer is on the line with us.
I can't believe this worked. That's awesome.
Yes, we did it. All right, very good. Yeah, I was just playing that track from I think from April. Don't Unalive You, and of course, at the end of our conversation today, we're going to play the brand new single "Clothesline," which is really great, really cool. But it's wonderful to speak with you again. It's been a while. I was just saying earlier how you were here with us in studio, but I can't remember when time. It all runs together, But it was you had shared your personal story with us the last time you were on with us, and it was quite a conversation. But how have you? So having said that, how have you been? How are things these days? You're still making some very interesting, very unique music, which is wonderful.
Well, every month I write and record and release one new song since 2019, and I've never skipped a month yet.
No kidding. Now that's interesting. So why? How did that come about? Where you put yourself into that routine where every single month you and do you limit yourself to only do one song a month, or is it ever more than that?
I only release one song a month.
Okay.
But like for instance, a few days ago, I think I wrote 6 songs in a few hours.
Oh, no kidding.
So they all sort of line up in a hallway, and they kind of jump up and down every month, and whoever elbows their way to the front gets recorded. Okay. So what kind of a backlog of songs do you have then? Do you have a lot that are kind of in the queue that you haven't recorded yet? Every minute there's too many to name. It's like blades of grass. But the what inspired it to begin was the last full album I completed. I wrote and recorded the whole thing in 7 or 8 days.
Wow.
And I was realizing that there's just a lot that needs to happen, that needs to come out, and all the time. And I was like, I can do one song a month. That's totally great. But usually what I do is I wait till the last 4 days of the month, and then I have nothing recorded and no artwork for it. And then I spend 4 days putting together the music that I hear in my head, trying to make it sound exactly as close as I can. And then I bust out the artwork as fast as possible. And then I usually do about 2 hours to record the voice. And then I spend about 20 minutes mixing and mastering, and then I send it away. And I've always said, I'll go back and revisit it before I release it to the public, but I never do.
Do you find that actually helpful? Because in one sense, it sounds stressful, waiting until it's almost the end of the month and then kind of rushing to do it. But then again, a lot of artists will say that they really do work better under pressure when it comes to something like that. It kind of forces you to, to get creative. Is that your experience?
I think what it is I've been helping one of my friends die, and I've been taking care of a really old cat for a friend, and I'm building a house, and there's always just stuff to do, lots of other things to do, but I think the reason why I have ended up putting it off is I spend the whole month sort of not fretting about it, but really trying to get a very clear picture, like holding the aperture wide open for a really long time so that I can pretty much recognize the song from any angle that I look at it, and then I will record it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your music is obviously very unique. Don't Unalive You it doesn't sound like anything I've ever heard before, which is cool, which is awesome. I love hearing unique things that, because they say it's all been done, and then you hear something and you say, well, no, actually it hasn't quite all been done. You know what I mean? But
well, that one specifically is about I guess last April, 2 Aprils ago, I started having a neurological disorder where I was having standing seizures that were focal seizures, and they were really stressing me out because I couldn't figure out what it was because it's so internal. And my brain started saying things like, remember how much you like drugs? And I was like, yeah, but we stopped that 22 years ago. That's not the plan till the end. Are we at the end? Because I'm not at the end. And I called a neurologist and was like, can I make an appointment with you? And that song is basically calling back to that moment when my brain was saying, hey, listen, something's wrong, and I don't know how to tell you it's wrong. I don't think you should turn back to your coping mechanisms, but something's really wrong. So let's figure this out. And so it was the bigger voice in my head that was like, don't unalive you. You've got so much to do. We're going to call the neurologist. We're going to work it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was how did that turn out? I mean, did you because you don't in the song, the lyrics tell the story, but the story is unfinished.
It is. It is unfinished currently.
It still is. In other words, so they still don't know what's causing the seizures?
Nope, not quite sure what's causing them.
Oh, wow.
But they're every 28 days or so, and it lasts for like 5 or 6 or 7 days, and it has nothing to do with any other cycles. I guess our brains have their own cycles of their own, and it's not impeding terribly now that I kind of at least have had a CAT scan. I know it's not like a giant mass. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The fear worries are gone, and now it's just sort of like managing symptoms.
So it's a nuisance. But what do you mean though when you say it lasts for 7 or 8 days? Like you're literally having a seizure for that amount of time?
They last for. It starts with a deja vu, and I think I'm having a deja vu, and then I feel like I'm getting thrown off of a cliff.
Oh my God!
I have like a roller coaster feeling in my stomach, and then I'm exhausted. And the rush of it lasts 2 to 3 seconds, sometimes 4, and then afterwards, I could fall asleep on a wool carpet. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
And they last for like 7 days-ish, 6 to 7 days, and they start with just 1 or 2 a day, and by the middle, it's like 20 a day, and then
oh my God,
by the end, it's like 2 a day.
Wow. Oh, that's terrible,
Yeah,
Holly.
and so it's really hard to plan shows, so I haven't been playing any shows.
Yeah, understandable. I'm sorry you're going through that. Is this
Me too.
Have you been able to connect with anyone else who has similar symptoms?
I looked around online for some stuff, and it seemed like a lot of people that had just sort of been chasing their tails for a long time, several years.
Yeah.
And but it seems like it's not totally unique thing. It seems like a song someone's written before. I just got to find the author.
Yeah. Wow. Well, okay. Well, geez, that's I hope you.
But I'm in a really good mood. I'm like,
yeah,
absolutely, terribly, disgustingly in love with somebody I've had a crush on for way over 20 years, and he had a crush on me, and we finally told each other, and we've just been in bliss since like November. And love really helps a lot of things.
Well, congratulations. So I suppose, whether it was intentional or not, that sounds like a segue into the new single, Clothesline.
It was inspired by our time together.
Okay. Very good.
It was inspired by New Year's Eve.
Okay.
With him.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, we'll be playing that in a few minutes. That song is a little more conventional, but not much. It's still really unique.
Yeah, I was kind of picturing to me, I was kind of picturing, who's that guy with the really blue eyes that sings White Christmas? Who's that guy?
Oh,
Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby.
I was kind of channeling those Bing Crosby, or maybe those commercials where all the girls dance around with the washing machines in synchronization.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of what I kept seeing in my eyes when it was unfolding.
Okay, okay. Cool.
But whenever I describe my songs to people, I'll be like, this is kind of a tango salsa waltz that sort of takes place in, like, Alaska. They're like, no. So I'm not good at actually naming my own categories of music, apparently.
No, I understand. Well, yeah, just call it alternative. That's kind of a catch-all, you know. But
there we go.
Yeah,
Works
yeah.
for me.
No, but it is but it certainly is unique. By the way, can I ask you about your process in terms of recording? I mean, we've talked about how you write these songs, but I'm really curious, you know, especially since, and I ask every musical guest about this partly because I'm a recording nerd, but also I'm just curious because there's so many different ways to approach it, and it sounds like, do you do everything yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to be
Cool.
really bored when you hear what my setup is.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The whole thing's like $300.
But, okay, so you play everything yourself, obviously, and all the vocals are you. Do you ever collaborate with anyone, or is it always just you on these tracks?
I have a lot. I really enjoyed my time in Boston working with a non-conducted chamber orchestra. That was wonderful. Like,
Oh, wow.
As far as players go, but with writers, I don't really. I guess I just know exactly what I want so clearly that I don't know what anyone else would be able to do necessarily as far as writing goes. But I like bouncing. I have in my life bounced ideas. And told people what I was up to, and they're like, hey, have you thought about maybe repeating that beginning thing? I wanted to hear that more, like more of a production opinion. And those are from my friends who are photographers. They don't even do music.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like if it's something, you know, because songs are sort of like people, and they can wear lots of different outfits. There's a country version of every song I've ever written. There's a rap version of every song I've ever written. You know, they don't care what outfit they wear. The seed of the idea cannot be destroyed simply by what sonics it's wearing.
I like that. So you do everything yourself. You do all the mixing and even the mastering too, right? You said you master everything yourself, and that's fantastic. Yeah.
I kind of do it as I go. I'm sort of like a clean up the pans as I cook kind of person when it comes to recording.
Yeah. Does anything ever come out differently than you had initially imagined it? Like by the time you get to the end of the oh, really? Yeah.
Literally almost always. And sometimes it's like necessity of finishing quickly. And then also sometimes it's because I've just been tweaking on a sound for so long that I basically forgot the real sound I was trying to create in my head, because I do a lot with synths, you know?
Yeah. Well, you can get ear fatigue too. You know, you listen to something so much, and after a while, it's like you can't even necessarily hear all of the frequencies that are present because you've been listening to it so much.
Absolutely. I'm a very quiet listener, like very quiet listener. A lot of my songs, I try to make them for headphone people, because I try to make lots and lots of tiny sounds that you would really only notice subtly in the left or the right ear every now and then. I really like playing with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Holly, we won't keep you too long. I'm anxious to share the new single with everybody. But
it's so funny. I had to find a tower to call you guys today because I was in the middle of the woods getting rusty pieces of metal to like cover the sides of my house with, and I was just like, my alarm went off to call you guys, and I was like, I gotta find a tower.
Oh, that might explain the difficulty staying connected earlier. Okay, that makes sense now.
Absolutely, that's what happened.
Oh, by the way, you said you're building a house? Like, you said you were finding materials so you're literally building the house.
Yeah, I'm building a very small mobile studio that I'm going to live in and record out of, and just like hopefully spend the rest of my life just happily surrounded by peepers and frogs in the middle of the woods making music forever.
Very cool. I mean, I'm not personally. I'm probably one of the least outdoorsy people you'll ever meet. So the woods thing, I'm not wild about. But the studio thing sounds great. That sounds like a wonderful existence, actually. So Good
I
for
just
you.
happily picked a tick off my neck, so we're good.
Oh, see that? Oh my God, for real? Because that's the thing that scares me the most. Is ticks? Three fears actually. Ticks, the possibility of being eaten by a wild animal like a bear or a mountain lion or something, and of course the Blair Witch. That probably scares me the most of the three, because I don't even.
Well, I plan to do that when I find my spot. I'm actually going to make lots of little Blair Witch dolls to scare away the Flatlander.
Yeah, see, that's probably that will probably work. It would certainly frighten me, but. Well, Holly, where should people go online to keep up with everything that you're doing? We want to make sure people know where to find new music as you know, because every month you're releasing something new. So we want to make sure listeners know where to go.
Yeah, all my songs are always free, donation, whatever. And my name is just Holly Brewer, and my website is hollybrewer.org.
Very good, very good. Well, Holly, we'll let you go, and then I'm going to go right to playing the new single "Clothesline." But thank you thank you for finding a tower, and thank you for joining us today. Always
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, anytime. I love the music. It's very cool. It's very different, which is what makes it so cool. And
you guys are awesome.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate you. All right, Holly, have a great day.
You too. Have so much fun.
All right, bye. All right, very nice. That was our friend Holly Brewer. And by the way, Brewer, because you'll see Brewer spelled different ways, she spells it Brewer. So if you're looking for her online, that is how she spells Brewer, Brewer, which I think is probably the more common spelling anyway. But we're going to play that. Here it is. This is the brand new single from Holly Brewer. And then we'll be back with the balance of our show. But check this out. This is called Clothesline, brand new single from Holly Brewer, the world radio premiere right here on Matt Connarton Unleashed.
Up on a clothesline, rescue cats and you sleep still. Forest off, we get it, I see light. Think I'll sit on your ears for the winter and spring all the summertime
To the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, 3 dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry, located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Clemento's Pizzeria, family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria. For delivery, call 603-782-8450. Clemento's Pizzeria, the best pizza in town. 1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. Best cocktails around. Come in as friends and leave as family.
This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
WMNH, rip the knob off.
Welcome back, everybody, as we cruise into our final segment today on Matt Connarton Unleashed. And we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is Wednesday, June 7, 2023, and apparently it is National Running Day, where you're supposed to go out and run. Please do not do that because North America is under I think most of the continent, thanks Canada, is, no, it's, we don't want to blame. Well, there is that South Park thing, Blame Canada. I wish I'd thought of that before the show. I could have played that today, Blame Canada from South Park, because of the wildfires that are causing everyone to be poisoned. But so it's National Running Day, but do not go running. Yeah, I mean, unless you have a treadmill inside where it's safe, don't go outside if you can help it. I mean, I'll have to go outside when I leave here today to go home, but try not to go outside. Wear a face mask. It's like the inverse of COVID. You wear a face mask outside in this case. But yeah, be careful, especially if you're asthmatic or you have any other sort of breathing issue. You can actually go online and see where it's the worst. Jenny was showing me earlier where you can actually you can go online and see, like there's a red zone, there's a purple zone, But New York City apparently is having a terrible time with this. They are very much. Well, actually, I was talking about it earlier in the show in the first hour. I was saying how today New York City was designated, for the moment. Obviously, it changes. The most. What was it? The most. Oh, what's the term they use? The air. Well, the air quality is the worst in the world right now. There's some other term they use, but usually it's. I think it's Delhi, India, is where the air quality is the worst, or a city in China. They have a lot of problems. They wear masks very often outside in these places because the air is so bad. But today it's been New York City has the dubious distinction of being the worst air quality because downwind from where the wildfires apparently are their most intense, and it's drifting into New York State and into New York City. So, And I was saying earlier too in the show, there was a moment today I was outside. I actually thought I could kind of taste it a little bit. Nasty. So hopefully it clears up soon, but I think we might have another day of this. I don't know. Anyway, but on that happy note, I just want everybody, I'm just reminding people, please be safe. If you didn't know this was going on, but you just wondered why the air seemed a little different today, that's why. So take care of yourselves. And if you have any kind of illness that might be further triggered or exacerbated by the air pollution, please be smart. Don't breathe anything in that you don't have to. And I learned today too, apparently it's more dangerous than people realize, because it's not just a matter of, if you get something in your lungs that might cause you to have some difficulty breathing. But if it gets into your bloodstream, which can happen, then it can really have some severe health effects. Last I knew, and I haven't looked since I've been on the air today, but last I knew, in New York City, they were not yet reporting any kind of an uptick in visits to the emergency room over this. So, which is good, but that may have changed in the time that I've been on the air. I don't know. But so far, as far as I know, so far so good in New York. Hopefully people are being smart. And again, wearing face masks. God knows in New York, they're used to wearing face masks because, early in the pandemic, New York was one of the hardest hit places, as one would expect in the United States. But no uptick in emergency room visits is good. Let's hope that holds and that people are able to remain safe. In fact, on that subject, we might look at something here that might be helpful. But let me give the, and by the way, Charles, if you're still listening, our friend Charles Richardson, feel free to call back. Charles gave us a call earlier, but unfortunately it was as we were waiting for Holly Brewer to call, so we didn't really have time to talk. So he said he'd call back another time. But Charles, if you're listening, the phone line is open, or for any of you, 603-250-6007 is the studio line, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. I'm on social media at Matt Connarton. You can email me, matt@mattconnerton.com. And of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. And by the way, speaking of the phone, when Dave Ridley called yesterday, that's probably why he was having so much trouble. I was speculating that it might be allergies. Perhaps a giant puff of pollen had flown into his face, but maybe it was just the poor air quality. But this is just quickly, and then we'll get to what I had talked about earlier. But this is from thehill.com. Which mask is best for wildfire smoke? It says here, and The Hill drew this from KDVR in California initially, but with smoke from over 400 Canadian wildfires drifting south and blanketing much of the United States, Americans are looking for ways to cope with a haze of very unhealthy air. Anthony Gerber said the people most at risk in smoky conditions are those with lung disease, older people, and the very young. He said if those people have symptoms outside, they may benefit from wearing a well-fitted mask. But keep in mind, surgical and cloth masks do not help in these conditions. Gerber said, quote, really, N95s are the only masks which are really proven to be effective, unquote. N95 masks filter particles as small as 0.3 micrometers, a fraction of the width of a human hair, according to the California Department of Public Health. Still, masks are not an ideal solution for wildfire smoke. San Francisco health officials previously told SF Gate that sealed buildings with filtered HVAC systems are preferable to mask use. In other words, try to stay inside. David Hill, a pulmonologist in Waterbury, Connecticut, told the AP, quote, if you have filters on your home HVAC system, you should make sure they're up to date and high quality, unquote. Air quality alerts often caution sensitive groups to stay indoors. That is a big category that includes children whose lungs are still developing, older adults, and people with lung diseases, such as asthma, like yours truly, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Gerber, a pulmonologist at National Jewish Health, said filters can help with smoke, but not all are effective. Quote, most folks will put them in their bedroom, but again, it has to be an HEPA filter. I don't know what that stands for. And it has to be matched to the size of the space you are filtering, unquote. Even though smoke seems familiar, it is actually a complex mixture of shapes from round to corkscrew. Okay, I don't want to get into the weeds. This article's getting into the weeds. Too far into the weeds. I don't go into the weeds. I don't even go into the woods, as we discussed earlier. But there you go. So anyway, the point being, everyone, please just try to be safe. I've been fortunately for me, I haven't, I have asthma, but I haven't had to use my rescue inhaler or anything. So I seem to be okay. But, south of us in Massachusetts, they actually have it worse than we do here with the smog. Does make for some beautiful sunsets and sunrises. That's the only good thing about it. But all that smoke being put into the atmosphere. Let's see. We'll say hello to everybody in the, or some new folks. We won't say hello to everybody that we already said hello to, but we'll say hello to some of the new people who have entered the chat room. My dad is in the chat. Hello, sir. Martin is there. Melanie said, I was talking to our friend Holly Brewer about why I don't go into the woods. I said the three things I fear in the woods, deer ticks, being consumed by a mountain lion or a bear, and of course, the Blair Witch. And Melanie said, not poisonous plants hiding among the flowers. I will be adding that to the list, Melanie. I now have 4 things in the woods that I fear. Yes. So I don't go into I'm like the least outdoorsy person you'll ever meet. This is true, by the way. I never in my life, people are surprised when I say this, but this is God's truth. I've never in my life gone camping. By the way, something I never in my life will do? Go camping. That's the idea of it just freaks me out. What, you're actually going to sleep out there in the woods? That's crazy. All the things I fear could get me if I were going to do that. I could be eaten by a mountain lion while having deer ticks attaching themselves to me, and then also being attacked by the Blair Witch after I've accidentally been exposed to a poisonous flower. There's so much that can go wrong. Isaac Banks is asking, who is the singer? I just heard her voice. That was Holly Brewer. And we just did the world radio premiere of her brand new single, Clothesline, here on the program. Let's see. Isaac Banks says, because I referred to COVID because we were talking about face masks, not because of COVID, but because of the smog. Isaac Banks said something about, I hope they find a cure for COVID. Yeah, he said, I hope this COVID shall be over until there's a cure. No, I think we're stuck with that for the rest of our lives, unfortunately. I mean, at least, we have it to a point, though, where, we have the therapeutics and everything. So if you do get COVID, it can be managed, and really no one should be dying from it at this point. So that's good. Scott Robinson joins us in the Facebook live chat and says, Matt, there's nothing like camping in the woods with a pineapple pizza, listening to some smooth jazz. Well, I like the smooth jazz, as you know, but the pineapple pizza, that is unacceptable. And in fact, if that is true, is that something people actually do? They go camping and they eat pineapple pizza? Well, we're putting that's number 5 on the list of things I fear. Pineapple on pizza. You got to understand something. I don't just not like it. I don't just not approve of it. I don't just think it's disgusting. I actually fear it. If somebody shoves a piece of pineapple pizza in my face, I'll be traumatized for the rest of my life. I'm deathly afraid of that. It's like a phobia. Isaac Banks says, I understand #Matt, and my friend Jeff Pagari likes jazz. I really don't like jazz. I'm sort of kidding. I don't really like smooth jazz. 603-250-6007 is the studio line. 603-250-6007. Before we probably won't get through the whole thing actually that I wanted to do, but we'll see what we can do. All right. So we have today Mike Pence. You might have heard of him. He used to be a vice president, Yes, former vice president of the United States, serving in the administration of Donald John Trump, the 45th president of the United States. Pence made his announcement today in Iowa, the great state of Iowa. Pence, also a Midwesterner himself, from the great state of Indiana. I do not do a Mike Pence impression, and if you are a longtime listener of the show, you're probably relieved because I'm terrible at impressions to begin with. I spent a significant portion of time in the Midwest growing up, and yet I still cannot mimic that accent. So If at any time I'm repeating something that Mike Pence has said, please just, radio is theater of the mind. I will ask you to pretend that I'm saying it with a Midwestern accent, even though I am unable to do so. You got to meet me halfway on that. But so Mike Pence made his announcement. Now, as I said earlier, I want to actually listen to and analyze part of this because it was more interesting than I thought it was going to be. Eventually, the first part, again, if you think of it like a play, political speeches are structured the same way. You've got a first act, a second act, and a third act. The first act of the play, or the political speech in this case, that Mike Pence gave announcing his candidacy, very boring, very dull. We're not going to listen to that. I would not do that to you. I will not torture you with that. In fact, I do believe that it would be considered a violation of the Geneva Convention. It sounded like it could have been written by an AI program. Again, no offense to our friends in Greensboro, but it was very predictable, and that's fine. That's what I expected. The second act was a little bit of a surprise. Here's what I was expecting. What I was expecting was Mike Pence, who, by the way, understand, when I tell you what I'm expecting, you have to remember, I'm operating under the assumption that Mike Pence is operating under the assumption that he has no chance of being the nominee. Now, there are, as we often discuss on the show, there are other reasons for running for president other than actually trying to become president. A very common reason is trying to become vice president. You want to be one of the last people standing, and hopefully whoever does win the nomination picks you. Obviously, that's not the case in Mike Pence's case. He's already been Trump's vice president, and he knows he will not be picked again for a couple different reasons. So we can put that aside. Another reason is to sell books. Mike Pence has a book. A lot of people, their candidacies are really just glorified book tours. It helps, right? But it's a book tour where you get donors to pay for it. Sometimes it's literally a book tour. For example, I'll often use a site as an example of that. When Newt Gingrich ran for president in 2012. Mitt Romney was ultimately the nominee for the Republicans, but when Newt was running, his campaign stops literally were book signings. He and his wife, Callista, they write a lot of books. They make documentaries. Their events would be at bookstores, and they would sign the books and sign the DVDs. And, and I don't knock the hustle. That's fine, but that's another reason to do it. Or to raise your speaking fees. People like Mike Pence make money giving speeches. Organizations come and pay you to speak. It looks great on your resume to say you were a former presidential candidate. Another reason is you're trying to build relationships for your eventual run for, say, maybe Mike Pence is going to run for senator in the future. So he knows he's not going to be the nominee, and he knows that Iowa will probably be it for him. When the Iowa caucus happens and Mike Pence comes in at 1% of the vote, he probably won't even bother to come to New Hampshire. Usually what happens is Iowa is the first contest, and a whole bunch of people drop out after Iowa. A whole bunch of people who barely make it to even 1%, if they're lucky, they drop out. Some of them hang on a little longer. They go from Iowa to New Hampshire, and then if they do horribly in New Hampshire, then they drop out. And then you have South Carolina. By the way, I understand the calendar is being, maneuvered a bit because of Biden, and you get my point. So he knows he's going to be out probably after Iowa. So I don't know what his motivation is. Maybe it's none of those things. Maybe he just thinks it'll be fun to run for president. Maybe it's on his bucket list. I don't know, but he knows he's not going to be the nominee. He knows that, unless he's just insane and he has some sort of terrible delusion. Maybe something's wrong with his brain. But no, I'm sure he's and he's a smart guy. I'm sure he realizes he's not going to be president. Now, here's what I was expecting from his speech, though. Act 1 was what I expected. Act 2, not really. What I thought it was going to be was he would talk a lot about Biden and the Democrats and kind of give a little bit of a general election speech, right? And not really focus much on his opponents. And I thought he might be sort of lightly, gently critical of Trump, regarding January 6th, because that's the elephant in the room, in this case, literally, because the elephant is the animal of the Republicans, of course, their mascot. So no way to avoid that. So I thought he'd treat that the same way he often does in interviews and interactions with the media. Just say something like, the former president and I will never agree. We'll never fully agree on the events of January 6th or the election, but then, of course, because none of the candidates so far, except for Chris Christie, really, and to a slight degree, Asa Hutchinson, he's running too, if you forgot, former governor of Arkansas. None of these candidates want to go directly at Trump, because if you anger the MAGA people, then you've got even less of a chance, right? So I thought he'd do something maybe lightly, gently, mildly critical of Trump, but then to balance it out, also gush with effusive praise about how he's just so proud, because this is what he does in interviews, talk about how he's so proud to have been a part of the Trump administration. And, because that's the play that he runs. He usually, what he'll do is, there was that CNN town hall. I guess he's got another one coming up, but the one before he announced his candidacy that he did, where, what did he say? He blamed it all on the lawyers. He said, well, I think the former president, I think he got some bad advice. It's not his fault. He got some bad advice from lawyers, Oh, they just blame the lawyers. Okay. Now, that's what I expected. I expected it would be a speech heavy on policy, heavy on his own backstory, very just light criticism of Trump, because, there's no way to avoid it, but also some gushing praise of Trump too, but then kind of saying something about time for a new generation of leadership, because you also have to slip in something about, so instead of just voting for Trump again, vote for me. He's 76 or 77, whatever. I'm only 64. I think today is also Mike Pence's birthday. I think he turned 64 today. It's a song about that, isn't it? Like, was it, will you vote for me for the presidency when I'm 64? Something like that. Anyway, with apologies to the Beatles, probably could never apologize enough for what I just did. That was pretty bad. I'm sorry. A little spontaneous song parody. I haven't done one in a while. I forgot how bad I am at them. So anyway, we didn't get what I was expecting. He went at Trump a lot harder than I thought. Now, he goes at him. He still gives him an out, though. He still slips in the thing about, he was misled. He does say that. So he still gives Trump the out. He was misled, so it's not really his fault necessarily. But he goes at him quite a bit harder than I was expecting. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he finally found his, I don't want to put it that way. He finally found the courage to say, he'll never have it in him. Let's be honest. He is somewhat of a empty husk of a human being. He'll never have it in him to express actual anger at Trump for, almost getting him and his family killed on January 6th. He'll never actually be mad about it, but at least he seems, in the speech that he gave today, somewhat bothered by it, instead of the attitude that he's taken in the past, where it's just been like, well, what happened January 6th was terrible, but oh, shucks, I can't be mad at that guy. I just love him so much. That's kind of been the vibe in the past. My dad in the chat room says, hi, Matt, good show. I just want to see if this works, if this is a different format now. Yeah, it's working. Dad's tried to communicate in the chat room before, and it's come out wrong. Oh, he says, I saw where Charles Richardson is bringing back his show. I say congratulations to him. Mike Pence is not very substantial. I get it. I didn't know Charles was bringing back his show. Well, congratulations to Charles. Maybe that's why he was calling to announce it on the show. All right. Well, before we run out of time, so we're only going to get to a little bit of this, but here, I'm going to play a little bit of this. Now, again, this is from the second act in Mike Pence's speech today, and we'll talk about what surprised me.
Now, given our record, it might be fair to ask why I'm challenging my former running mate. Let me say from my heart.
By the way, at this point, I was watching this live. At this point, I expected, when he goes, let me say from the heart, I expected him to say something like, I take no joy in challenging him because I just love him so much. And he appeared to, I was not the first one to make this observation, but very often during the Trump presidency, you would see Trump on stage speaking in front of a podium, giving some sort of a speech, and you would see Pence off to the side, gazing upon Trump in a very similar way to the way Nancy Reagan used to gaze upon Ronald Reagan when he was giving a speech, with just that sense of awe and wonder, that expression, that facial expression. And I thought we were going to get something like, let me just say from the heart, I do so love President Trump. I just have reasons why I have to, but that's not exactly what we got. Okay. So he surprised me. Here's what he said.
It begins with a promise that I made to the American people and to Almighty God. And it ends with different visions for the future of our nation and our party. January 6th was a tragic day in the life of our nation. But thanks to the courage of law enforcement, the violence was quelled.
By the way, I like that he did that he said, thanks to the courage of law enforcement, because there are a lot of people who go around, they talk about how they'll say things like back the blue. You got to support the police. You got to support law enforcement. But then you mention the Capitol Police and their attitude changes quite a bit, doesn't it? Interesting. So I'm glad he said that. I'm glad he gave credit to law enforcement, because there are some people who just, when it comes to the Capitol Police, they're like, oh yeah, those guys. And we all know why. I'm glad he did that. Good for him. Because I know who you won't hear doing that, but we'll continue.
And we reconvened the Congress the very same day to complete the work of the American people under the Constitution of the United States. As I've said many times, on that fateful day, President Trump's words were reckless. They endangered my family and everyone at the Capitol. But the American people deserve to know that on that day, President Trump also demanded that I choose between him and the Constitution. Now voters will be faced with the same choice. I chose the Constitution, and I always will.
Hey, good on him. Oh, and there's an ad in this video. So while the ad plays, I'll talk. Yeah, good. I mean, hey, I fully agree. Yes. I mean, Trump went to give his big speech and said, Mike Pence, I sure hope he does the right thing. And then while the Capitol was under attack, Trump is on Twitter calling Pence a coward, saying, he didn't have the guts to do the right thing, but Pence did do the right thing that day. And unfortunately, up to now, he'd never really said it this forcefully, because he's so afraid. You don't want to upset Daddy, don't want to upset Trump. But now he's just saying, look, he's laying it out starkly. Here it is. And he's right. Good for him. Wish he could have found his cojones, as they say, a little sooner. Because I've seen far too many examples, as I've talked about on the show, where, he'll talk about how his family, his wife and his daughters were in danger on January 6th, and then goes on to completely emasculate himself by not showing any actual emotion about it, and finding every excuse to why, that wasn't really Trump's fault, right? He's not doing that here, so good. Glad he finally decided to stand up a little bit for his family who were in danger on that day. I guess this is his way of doing that. He actually does seem a little bit like there's some sort of passion there. I mean, I don't know if he's capable of actual human emotion fully. He's always struck me as an android, probably. But he's showing something here. And the look on his face seems pretty mad. As he's saying this, but all right, here's more. I know we're going to run out of time, but here's a little bit more. I mean, he's right. He's telling the truth here.
4 years earlier, I swore an oath with my hand on my Bible and on Ronald Reagan's Bible to support and defend the Constitution.
Oh, by the way, that's another thing, too. He evoked Reagan a couple of times during this speech. That is, you remember Ronald Reagan, right? You know, sort of the patron saint of modern conservatism, or at least he was, until 2016, when all of a sudden everyone forgot Reagan existed. It was a really weird transition in the Republican Party, and very abrupt. But Pence hasn't forgotten. And I mean, I don't know how that's going to work for him. But it just interesting. I did notice that.
The Bible says he keeps his oath even when it hurts. And I know something about that. My son, the Marine, once reminded me, "You took the same oath I took, Dad." So I did. So let me explain. Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution provides that the President of the Senate, the Vice President, shall, in the presence of the Senate and the House, open all the certificates, and the votes shall be counted. No more, no less. Despite the fact that the Constitution's language is clear and provides the Vice President with no authority to reject or return electoral votes, my former running mate continues to insist that I had the right to overturn the election. But President Trump was wrong then, and he's wrong now. I will always believe, by God's grace, I did my duty that day. I kept my oath to ensure the peaceful transfer of power under the Constitution of the United States of America.
Again, that's the strongest I've ever heard him state any of that. That's good, you know.
I say from my heart, I understand the disappointment that many still feel about the outcome of the 2020 election. I can relate. I was on the ballot. But I had no right to overturn the election. And Kamala Harris will have no right to overturn the election when we beat them in 2024. Finally, let me say to my countrymen, I'll always be grateful for what President Trump did for this country.
Now, I thought when he got to this part, okay, here comes the gushing and effusive praise. And now we're going to get, 5 minutes of that, because he's got to soften, there was some criticism there. He's got to soften all that, but not exactly. I know we're almost out of time, but just a little bit more.
I've often prayed for him over the past few years. And I prayed for him again today. I had hoped he would come around and see that he had been misled.
By the way, there it is. He does. So it wasn't the 5 minutes of gushing praise I was expecting, but he does still give him an out. And that's where it is, where he says he was misled, which means, people gave him bad advice. So it's not really his fault. So he does still slip that in, gives Trump an out, which is really a way of giving himself an out. Okay. But still, overall, stronger than what we've heard from him in the past. But here's the rest of that thought.
About my role that day. But that was not to be.
Oh, and there's another ad that popped up on the video. Well, actually, we'll stop there anyway, because we are almost out of time. But he goes on. There's a great line later. So he gets past that part. That's part of the sort of the second act of the speech. And then in the third act, though, he goes back to talking about policy and kind of his vision for the future. But he hits Trump a couple of times again in a way that surprised me. One where I'm completely with Pence. he talks about how Trump, and he goes right at him on this, and correctly so. He talks about how when Putin first decided to invade Ukraine in full, Trump said it was a genius move. He called Putin a genius and praised him. And Pence said, I wish I could remember the exact wording of the line, and he says it forcefully. He says, I know the difference between a tyrant and a genius. And really kind of slams Trump for being so, for his praise of Putin, and really makes it clear. Pence makes clear what his position is on it, because you've got people like, and he goes at DeSantis on that too. He says, Putin's no genius, and this was not a territorial dispute. This is not simply a territorial dispute, which is a shot at DeSantis and what he has said. And there's other, I don't know if my dad realizes this, because I know he's a big fan of Vivek Ramaswamy, but Vivek Ramaswamy's position is, we should make concessions to Russia and all this. So, but he goes right at Trump over that too. That's later in the speech. We just don't have time. But we got to go. We are out of time. Thank you all so much, everybody. Thank you, Holly Brewer, for joining us today. And we did the world radio premiere of her new single. Very honored and proud to have an opportunity to do that. She's great. Please make sure you follow her online and everything that she's got going. And tomorrow on the show, we have Dank Sinatra joining us in the second hour. Speaking of world radio premieres, they've got their new album, and we're going to feature some of their music tomorrow on the show in the second hour. And they will be here with us in studio. Really look forward to that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Everybody, please be safe. Again, the air is terrible outside. So take care of yourselves. Try not to breathe in any of the smog. Like I said, I swear I could taste it earlier. Don't forget our amazing sponsor, the Hop Knot, right across the street. Get some delicious gourmet pretzels and craft beer. It is Wednesday, which means tonight is trivia night. No, I'm sorry. Tonight is industry night, rather. Thursday is trivia night. Tonight, maybe the smog's getting to me. Tonight is industry night at the Hop Knot at our amazing sponsor. So can't recommend that enough. And if you missed any part of today's program, it will be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org and at my website, mattconnarton.com. And that is going to do it for us for now. I will talk at y'all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.